Brett teaches Raspberry Pi.
Brett teaches Raspberry Pi.
Brett.
Tech is cool. T-minus 5 seconds.
Brett teaches Raspberry Pi.
Okay, so if computers were just hard coding everything, it'd be kind of boring. So like I said, we're gonna add some logic to this so that we can change this up a bit. So we're gonna use our ticker from before, and we're just gonna modify it to add some logic in here. So first thing we're gonna do is introduce if statements in our code. So it's the first type of logic. So we're gonna start out first by making a variable that we can sort of increment every time we go through this while loop. Remember, the while loop continues essentially forever, so this number will keep getting incremented by 1 every time. So first of all, we're going to say a is equal to 1. So a is our variable. Remember, we're storing the value 1 in it just like we would math essentially. Okay, and then in our while loop, we're going to hit enter. Notice once again we're indented, so we're staying inside the while loop. The code indented is part of the while loop itself. And so we're going to start with an if condition here. So the first thing we're going to do is start with the word if. So we're going to type if, and then we're going to do some parentheses. And inside this parentheses, we have to have some sort of condition that evaluates to either true or false. So we're going to use that a variable we just added. So we're going to say if a is less than or equal to. Notice we did less than or equal to as two symbols right next to each other. If a is less than or equal to 1, then we're going to put a little colon. And notice when we hit enter, we're tabbed in again. So this is inside the if statement. If that statement is true, we're going to execute this code right here, which is we're going to set a variable called background equal to red in this case. And then enter. Notice we're still in the if statement. And we're also going to set a text color equal to white. And that's all run only if a is less than or equal to 1. Then we're going to sort of shift tab back or go back to the while loop indentation and not the if statement anymore. We're back in the while loop and not in the if statement. We're going to make another if statement here and say, hey, this time if a is equal to 2 here, and the double equals just means is the same thing on the left the same thing as the thing on the right. So at the time a is equal to 2, these two will match. If 2 is equal to 2, and then we put the little colon at the end, we're going to set the background color equal to, let's go green this time. And then we're also going to set the text equal to a different color of blank. So we're just going to make them kind of invisible, make the LEDs not come on. So notice the indentation. If it's a is equal to 2, then we're going to set those background and text colors differently. Now we went back to the while loop indentation, and we're going to say if a is greater than 2 at any point. So this is going to be any time for the rest of the application. We're going to set our background color equal to blue, and we're going to set our text color equal to yellow. So first time through this loop here, we're going to set our background color to red and white because a will equal 1. And then if it goes down and looks at the next if statement, a will not equal 2 because it's still 1. And then we're going to say if a is greater than 2, it won't be true because it's still 1. So what we need to do is make sure each time through the loop we increment a each time. So this little line of code does it where we say a plus equals 1. So take whatever's in a, add 1 to it, and reassign it. So it basically increments 1 each time through the loop. Okay, so the first time a is equal to 1, we're going to say a is less than or equal to 1. That is true the first time through this. So we're going to set our background color to red and our text to white. And then as it moves down and it sets those two variables, it's also going to check the next if statements. So does a, which is 1 currently, equal 2? That is false, so it's not going to run the indented code. Okay, and then it's going to move down and check the next if statement. Is a, which is currently 1, greater than 2? It is not, so it's not going to run that code. And then it's going to increment a to 2, okay, through this by adding 1 there, and then go through the loop again. So the next time it'll check the first if, that'll be false. The second if will be true, so we'll set it to green and blank. And then down here at the bottom where we're showing colors, we're going to change those to our variables now. So instead of hard coding colors, we're going to use our variables of text and background that we just set in each of those if statements. So every time we go through and loop this, those variables will be changed in here in each one, depending on which loop we're on, and then the variables will ultimately be passed to our show message down at the bottom to show the colors. So the first time through, the background will be red, the text will be white, then a will get incremented to 2, and then the second time through, it'll skip the first if statement, go to the second one, It'll be green and blank, and then finally, from the rest of the program, it's going to be blue and yellow from then on, because the number will always be greater than 2. And notice that this show message is the entire text. So we'll run the entire text, then change the color. So look at each one of those, kind of think through it as you watch it work, and you'll see what each of those if statements are doing. But notice how the indentations determine which code gets called in each of those things. So we got that running. We should go ahead and run it and see what it does. Make sure you save it first, and then we're going to run it and see what it does. Okay, now that we've gone ahead and thrown in some if statements and toggle that based on a counter, what do you say we go ahead and run it and see what those if statements do for us?
Yeah, sounds cool.
Okay, logic is cool. You're going to see here how the ticker switches between each run. So I'm going to go ahead and run it right now. And if you watch over here, look, we start out with our red. Remember, our first number was red, background with the white text. As soon as we get through the entire text, it's going to switch to the next color, which was green with a blank or black background. Okay, and the next one it's going to go to as that ticker increases each time through this. Look, right there, we got yellow and blue. Perfect, right? It looks neat.
Yeah, I love it. You get to use your creativity with these if statements.
I love that. So as you guys have done this, you've got your code in there, everything's working. You can see that we can use logic to switch between these different colors and the text and everything. I want to offer a challenge to you. If you go and rewrite this application, let's have you show something like temperature, air pressure, humidity, and then a further challenge would be make the background colors match what the temperature is. So if it's hot, what color would we do?
Red.
I like a red for that. What about if it's sort of between cold and hot? What are you thinking there?
I like a yellow.
I like a yellow. And then let's say it's freezing outside.
Blue.
Blue. So try and challenge yourself to get those colors in there based on the temperature, and we'll see how you do with that.